Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and I'm here to give you a preview of the just announced Nikon D7100. This is not the D7100, this is a D7000. I want to remind you guys out there, if you haven't signed up for the Froknows Photo email list, you can do that. Look for the box that just popped up on the screen over on the website, and I will send you a free ebook, a guide to capturing motion in low light situations. So check that thing out. But let's get into the D7100. Pretty exciting camera for the DX likers and lovers out there. Will this camera be replacing the D7000? As Nikon says, no, it's not a replacement. It's, I'll just say, I think it's a replacement, and they'll discontinue the D7000 at some point. D7000 used, for those beginners out there, will be good, but this is a D7100 video. CMOS sensor, 24.1 megapixels. I've got my cheat sheet here. So it's a 24.1 megapixel CMOS sensor. That means my D4 captures raw images at like roughly 30 megs a piece. This is going to be more than that. So you're looking at 40-ish meg raw files, still big raw files. And something interesting in this camera is there is no low pass filter. The only other camera that Nikon had with that is the D800E. So they got rid of the low pass filter in the D7100. And my question to Nikon when we discussed this camera was, what about the moiraying issues? Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, that's that striping issues that you see in certain areas of a frame. And they said it wasn't much of a major deal. They said it was negligible. Good word, by the way, negligible. They said that, and I was like, okay, so no low pass filter, and I guess you can look to see that in more of the Nikon Pro cameras coming out in the next generations. But they said something else that gives you sharper images. That's what happens when you don't have that low pass filter. It's another thing that doesn't have to split the light before it hits the sensor. What they said though is with Nikon lenses, the images are going to explode. What they mean by explode is if you use Nikon lenses in combination with the no low pass filter, the images are going to be sharp and colorful and contrasty. I don't know what it's going to look like with third-party lenses like Sigma, Tamron, Tokina, or all of the other ones out there. Who knows? Just Nikon telling us that, but that is pretty cool. ISO range 100 to 6400 in the native, and it goes up to 25,600 in the H2 mode. So that's good for studio work, and that's good for low-light shooting concerts. No longer can we hear people complain when I show them pictures from my D4 shot at 8,000 or 6,400 and 4,000, and people can't complain because most of the cameras today go up that high. But let me remind you that high ISO is not a replacement for good glass. For fast 2.8 or fast 1.4 lenses, high ISO is not a replacement for that. They work hand in hand. High ISO and better lenses equal better photos when you understand what you're doing with your fundamentals of photography. So we've got that. Oh yeah, new in this 7100 is 51-point autofocus system. That is good. It went from 39 in the D7000 to 51 points in this new one. That's a lot of focusing points, and I'm really thinking that it's going to be a much better focusing system than what the D7000 gave you. I wasn't fully happy with the autofocus with certain lenses with the D7000, but 51 focus points is great. That's a lot. Just think, the Canon 6D has, well, there's how many cross-type? I didn't write that down. There's 15 cross-type sensors in this autofocus system. That Canon 6D has one, by the way, for their full frame camera. This isn't full frame. How many frames a second does it do? 6 frames a second in full mode, which is DX, but they added a 1.3 times crop mode, which in essence, you put a 50 millimeter, it doubles it. It's a 2x extender when you go into the 1.3 times crop mode. That's going to allow you to shoot 7 frames a second at, what is that other note? 7 frames at 15.4 megapixels. So that's if you want a little more bang for your buck. You don't want to crop later. In essence, that's what you're doing here, is you're kind of cropping the image in the camera instead of just shooting it and then cropping it later. If that's what you want to do, but what's interesting, and we'll get to this in the video, is that the 1.3 time crop mode works for video as well. That's always a good thing if you want to get more bang for your buck with your lenses. So we've got that. Inside of the viewfinder, at the bottom, you know that thing that lights up either black and then puts the green numbers on it? Well, they changed it. It's now an OLED display. I don't know what it was before. Maybe it was an LCD technology, but now it's OLED, so it's meant to be brighter and sharper. We'll see if that is when we get a chance to look at it. 2 SD card slots. So same thing as the D7000. The cameras look similar. They look almost the same. There's a few changes, like they added an I button on the back. That's a quick way to get to certain functions that you use a lot. You would hit that I button. You can use that during video. You can use that during stills. That's something that's cool that they added. Oh yeah, and they changed the live view button on the back. I see that now. You no longer have the Springy McSpringerson thing on the back. You have the live view just like the D4, the D800, the D800E, and the D600 all have that switch on the bottom to do live view in stills and live view in video. New 3.2 inch screen that's 1.2 million pixels, or dots as they call it, or whatever they want to call it. The screen sits flush to the back of the camera. My recommendation is if it comes with a plastic protector, don't use the plastic protector. I never use those things because all those things do is get dirty and you don't need them, in my opinion. 3.2 inch screen is a huge ass screen compared to the, what was this, a 3-inch screen on the back of this? So that's always good to have a larger screen. What else? The shutter life is 150,000. It's rated for 150,000 clicks. Could go before, could go after. It all depends on the one that you have, but that's a lot of shutter actuations. I have not taken any camera I've owned near 150,000 shutter actuations. The top of it is magnesium alloy, the bottom of it's magnesium alloy, and I guess in the middle you've got some plastic. It takes the MB-D15 vertical grip, that's a new grip, but it still uses the EN-EL15 battery, which is what the D600, the D800, the D800E, and the D7000 all used. So if you're upgrading to that camera, this camera, then you can still use the same batteries. I guess they're not going to have a D300S replacement. Maybe they won't, and this is just how it's going to be, a D7100. Before we get to who it is for, why don't we talk to you about some of the video functions. Full manual controls in video, has a stereo microphone up top that's still going to sound like crap when you're autofocusing. You're going to hear the of when you focus no matter what camera you use, but it has an external microphone adapter. You can use the Nikon ME1, which I don't recommend. Not a big fan of that shotgun mic. I like the wireless mic, similar to what I'm using. This is a Sony wireless mic. You can use that. Full manual controls is really important, changing the aperture, changing the shutter speed, all while you are shooting and recording video. It does the 1080 at 30 frames a second, 30p and 24p. It also does 1080 at 60i. Not too much of a fan of 60 interlace, but it does 720 at 60 frames a second. But something that it does really cool that not a lot of cameras do, it does HDMI out. It does full res, what an uncompressed via HDMI out for your video, and it's a clean out. So you can go clean out to a Blackmagic device with a SSD drive in it and record a clean out signal in uncompressed video using HDMI. So it does the 20 minutes in the high quality. If you're using the card, the full out HDMI, I guess, is limited to how much room you have on your external storage device. It does 29.59 in low, in the not the highest quality. I would always shoot the highest quality. That's me. Price $1199.95 body only, and it's available in late March. They offer it in a kit, and my thing is don't buy the kit. Don't waste your money on an 18-105 lens. That is a crappy, it's a fine lens for just everyday shooting if you're just an amateur and you're just doing that. If you want to get into photography as a profession, glass times 7 times 24 divided by 3, multiply it by 17, square rooted of 2. It's all about the glass. So who is this camera for? If you have a lower end Nikon, if you have a lower end, any lower end camera, not even much lower end, just if you're looking to take your photography to the next step and you don't want to spend the $2,000 to go into a D600, I love full frame. If you can afford full frame and good glass, jump that way. But if you can only afford a body with a good piece of glass and you only have $2,000 to spend, then this, not this physical body, the D7100 D7100 is a great way to go if you pick up a really good lens to start. You've got your 50 1.4s and 1.8s, your 85 1.4s and 1.8s. You've got amazing DX lenses that you have on that Nikon offers, like a 17 to 55 2.8. That's about $1,000. Check out used gear at allenscamera.com. They have a lot of great used DX lenses that can go on a body like this. So if you have a D7000, should you jump into a 7100? If you want to, sure. You can probably sell your D7000 for about $700, and it's a good starter camera for anybody out there just getting into digital SLRs. Does video, does the photos. That one tops out about $4,000 in my opinion. Still a good camera to start with, but if you have a 7000 currently, I'd save and jump up into the 600 range, the D600 full frame, if you can afford to go and get full frame glass. If not, invest in that glass and maybe pick up a 7100. I'm expecting it to be a pretty good darn camera. Maybe a pro would want to throw it in their bag as a secondary video camera if they don't have a D600. I may pick up maybe a D600 as my secondary camera for doing video, because that doesn't do the clean HDMI out like this one does. It still has a border, so maybe this would be a better option for me, a D7100, for the clean video out. So you've got different options. It could be a second video camera, a third video camera angle, especially with that HDMI out. Great stills I expect to come from it. 24 megapixels is a good sweet spot, just like the D600. Still going to get better images out of a full frame D600 than you are out of the DX7100, but so many different features they keep adding and tweaking that you'll see in future models, like the no low pass filter. Sharper images, sharper pictures, like Nikon says with Nikon glass, they are going to explode with color, but make sure you're shooting raw. So we'll leave it at that. Don't forget to sign up for the Froknos Photo email list. I will send you a free ebook on a guide to capturing motion in low light situations. It's a really cool ebook for figuring all of that out, and I'll just end it with the normal. If you are looking to get out of auto, I have a Froknos Photo beginner guide to getting out of auto. It's a 3-hour-long video for beginner photographers, intermediates, or anybody who has never ventured out of that auto mode that wants to get the confidence to shoot manual and get it and just be able to capture amazing images. We cover composition and all of that amazing stuff. FroknosPhoto.com/guide. You can see it there. That is the preview of the Nikon D7100. Jared Polin, FroknosPhoto.com. See ya. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, just click the subscribe button right here below the video, as YouTube has made the change. And one more thing, click on subscription updates, manage subscriptions, and if you would like to get an email every time I upload a new video, click this box. If you'd like to see it in your feed on YouTube, click that box. And over on FroknosPhoto.com, if you haven't signed up for the Froknos Photo email list, you can go ahead and put your name in this box, your email in this box, hit send it, and I will send you a free photo guide, a guide to capturing motion in low light situations. If you're new to photography, or you're somewhere in the intermediate range looking to learn a little bit more about your camera and how to get out of auto, don't forget about the Froknos Photo Beginner Guide, a guide to getting out of auto. It's at a special price right now. It's a 3-hour-long video. You can buy it as an instant download or as a physical copy with free shipping around the world. So thank you guys very much for watching.